From the nation's capital, this is the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast with your host, Rob Snowhite.
It's 6 o'clock now in the morning as I wait for my train to come.
This is the 250th episode of the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. My name is Rob Snowhite. This episode features Abbie Schuster of Kismet Outdoors. I finally got a chance to meet Abbie at the 2019 Edison Fly Fishing Show. And I told her about my awful fishing experience on the Vineyard when I was up there in 2010 for the Jacko Pierce concert at the Old Whaling Church. I thought it'd be a great idea to have Abbie on the podcast so she can inform us all about fly fishing on Martha's Vineyard. She spends half the year guiding on Martha's Vineyard and the rest of the year, her off-season, traveling, skiing, and doing other outdoor activities. We're going to learn all about her life as a fly fishing guide on Martha's Vineyard and what it's like to fish there. This is Abbie Schuster's Kismet Outdoors Martha's Vineyard episode. So on this episode, we've got Abbie Schuster. How are you?
Great.
And where are you? I'm not too bad. Doing pretty good today. Tying some flies in between my interviews today.
Always a good thing to do.
Yeah. So where are you right now? Are you on the Vineyard?
I just left the Vineyard, but I go back and forth in the winter. So I'm fully on island for like 7 months, and then I do a bunch of hosted travel and go up to Maine for part of the winter.
All right. So how did you get into being a fishing guide on the Vineyard?
Well, I've been fly fishing my whole life, and I actually learned to fly fish on Martha's Vineyard. So as a child, like before I could even really wade on my own, I would go on my dad's shoulders and fly fish, which is so dangerous, really, looking back. But anyway.
Things were different back then.
I think so. There were many times where we had to swim to shore at night. Anyway.
Wait, at night? Oh my gosh.
Yes. I mean, it was like crazy. But after guiding out west and moving around a bunch, I realized like my heart was in the Martha's Vineyard fishery, because I do think it's one of the best ever.
You went to school out west, is correct?
Yeah, I went to University of Montana in Missoula.
How much work did you get done in between your fishing?
Well, I got really good at scheduling classes at night or early in the morning. So I had most of the day to fish, which was great.
Where I went to school, we had the shad run, but that started right during finals.
Oh,
I didn't really get a chance to fish it.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it done. It taught me how to be more disciplined with work, because there's a lot of distractions there.
I forgot to ask who your celebrity doppelganger is. Is there somebody people say you look like?
Well, I've heard this a bunch, but I don't agree. But people say Miley Cyrus. Very embarrassing.
You never know.
Not great, I'm sure, but
I'm sure we can make some kind of meme with you on a Albee instead of a cannonball.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So how long have you been on the Vineyard working?
This is my, fourth season on the Vineyard full time, like with my own business, but I've been going back and forth for about 5 years, I guess.
All right. And you live on Chappaquiddick.
I do, yes.
Should we refer to this Chappie or Chappaquiddick?
I would say Chappie, but yeah.
And that is an island off of an island. So you're like a sub-island.
Yes, it's about 527 feet, I think, from Martha's Vineyard. So the only way there is via ferry, a 3-car ferry.
Is it mostly just known for the car accident?
Yes, and good fishing, It has some of the best fishing on island, but
not when I was there.
Yeah, now, but mostly the car accident. This year is a 50-year anniversary, so that was a very big deal.
And that movie came out. I didn't watch it.
Yes, a lot of tourists are
taking selfies. Let's look where somebody died and take a picture of myself smiling.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little sad, but it's very sad.
So being on Chappaquiddick, you don't have skunks?
Oh, no. We have skunks.
You do? Do they swim across?
I guess. I mean, it's so Chappie's attached to the vineyard. It changes every like 10 years or so if the breach is open or not. So either they swam or maybe they went when the breach was closed.
Do you know the history of the skunks?
No. I feel like I do know this, but I can't remember.
Yeah, somebody dumped a couple skunks there in 74, I think, in the early 70s. And this is their only natural predator is the great horned owl. They kind of just run amok.
Yeah.
I didn't realize people must get up early and clean them off the roads because you can smell where they got hit. You don't see them.
Oh, yeah. There's always like a little underlying skunk smell. My dog smells of skunk for at least 8 months a year. So, oh, yeah. They're everywhere. Nantucket doesn't have any, which is pretty funny.
You guys could do a mean trick and put some parachutes on skunks and drop them.
I've thought of this many times.
So, for those who aren't familiar with the vineyard, can you explain where it is and sort of how it was created and some of the just physical characteristics of it?
Yeah, the vineyard is an incredibly beautiful place. It's about 6 miles off of Woods Hole, so in Massachusetts. So the only way you can get there is a 45-minute ferry ride through the Vineyard Sound. And once you're on it, what I like about it is there's different towns and they all have their own character, and they're all very different. So it's a really nice place to live because Up Island is all farming and super beautiful. And then you get to a place like Edgartown, which is the old whaling town, and it's a lot more restaurants and art galleries and, there's like the old captain's homes. It's incredibly beautiful.
Created from glaciers, right?
Yes. Yep. And so now, especially Chappaquiddick, the north side of the island is a little bit rockier, but Chappie is all sand. Like the bedrock is hundreds of feet below. So every year it's changing. There's shoals off the southeast side of the island that change every single year. I need to relearn the water every year out there because it just gets pushed around by tides and storms and everything in the winter.
Have you ever found any artifacts?
Yeah, lots of arrowheads have been found. One of my buddies, he's pretty talented at finding artifacts. He's found megalodon teeth. He's found a spearhead that they think was dated 10,000 years ago.
Wow.
Pretty
damn old.
Right? It's crazy. Yeah, it's really, there was a big Native American, or there still is, tribe on island, the Wampanoags. And that culture is still there for sure, which is really cool.
What about the seasonality? So you're going to leave in the winter. So what are the fishable seasons?
So the reason I leave is just because there's no real fishing in the winter. In May, it really picks up. And then it depends on the year. Like last few years, I guided well into November. I mean, not every day, it definitely slows down, but the big albies and bonito are around. This year we had a few storms that kind of pushed them away. So typically it wraps up around October.
Could you explain the difference between an albee and a bonito?
Yeah, they are pretty similar fish. Bonito, the main way to tell them apart is bonito have teeth and stripes, whereas albies have more of like a one camo stripe on its side. And they're crazy fish. We get them on the vineyard from September to, depends of the year, but October, November. We got bonito though this year in the beginning of August, which was crazy. I mean, it was awesome. It was great for guiding, but crazy that they're there.
What happens when the first fish start coming in? Is it just everyone goes nuts?
Oh my God, the whole island goes crazy. It's awesome. That's why the vineyard, like the fall on the vineyard, the community is so fishy. It's awesome. We have a 5-week-long fishing tournament. Everyone is just so buzzed about fishing. It's all anyone's talking about. It's all anyone's doing. It's awesome. It's cool.
Are there people there that don't fish?
Very few.
Just look at them weird, like
Yeah,
outcasts.
in summer there are, but in the fall and spring, most of the people travel there to fish, which is cool.
So we were there for a concert in August, and there was no fish.
What concert?
Jacko Pierce at the Old Whaling Church.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
and the son of Carly Simon and James Taylor opened up.
Nice. I think my mom went to that, actually.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
That was sort of our baby moon, and my wife got pregnant a month or so afterwards, so that was like our last vacation without kid.
So exciting. Congratulations.
And she's 8 now and was awful this morning.
That will happen with little 8-year-olds.
Oh my gosh. I threatened to cancel her trick-or-treating on her. Yeah, she fishes. She's got a little 4 or 5 weight rod that somehow ended up with a T-bore reel on it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Obviously.
and she can cast fairly well.
The Vineyard.
Yeah, she'll get pulled in by those fish. She's like a little wafer. She's tiny.
Oh. I'll hold on to her. We'll have fun.
All right. My friend Oliver Hicks fished with you earlier this year.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
He's a big steelhead dude.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
He's jacked beyond belief, too.
Yeah.
That dude's arms are just massive.
Yes. That's hilarious. Yes.
So what are the first fish that come in the springtime? What's going to arrive first? For us here, it's the shad.
Okay, cool. For us, it's the schoolie striped bass. So the smaller striped bass. And you'll start seeing them it depends on the year, but early May, typically, sometimes in April. And they're awesome. I mean, everyone's just so excited to see them. The Vineyard is a really amazing fishery because it has amazing flats. And the schoolies will go up in the flats. And it's honestly like the same as bone fishing, except harder, I think. But the schoolies look and behave a lot like bonefish.
Does something come in to eat them?
Bigger fish will come in and eat them for sure. But the birds and stuff will come. I mean, it's like they're eating the same stuff that I use the same flies in Mexico as I do on the flats on the Vineyard for them. Little crab patterns, little shrimp patterns. It's really cool. Sight fishing for them is amazing.
Yeah, it's convenient to have one box of flies for such diverse locations.
I know. It's awesome. And it's like I come back from Mexico typically like the first week of May. And so I'm like still high off the Mexico train. So it's a nice transition.
Hot water to cold water.
Yes, very cold water at that point. And then as the season progresses, the bigger bluefish will come in, and then bigger stripers will come in, and then everyone will be there by the middle August and through October.
What is that?
That truck?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's a big truck.
I know. I know it's weird that that's going right by my house. Yeah.
We have planes and trucks all day, and we're in a little neighborhood, so you'd think it can be quiet here, but it's not really.
It's not, right.
Every 60 seconds, a plane will fly over.
And only like I feel like only during interviews.
Yeah.
That happens.
So what are some of you said you fish flats. How deep would that be?
I mean, really, actually quite shallow. There, you can fish them, as deep as you want, but typically it goes from like 5 feet to a foot. Stripers will come in into like 18 inches or so. My boat draws about 18 inches, and I will, anchor right there, and we'll get them all day.
What about speeds of water? Because I remember there's some different parts of the island will have different currents ripping through.
Right. I mean, I think that's the other cool thing about the Vineyard is the fishery is so diverse in the way to fish for them, or fish for stripers, I should say. And a full day trip will fish the rips and the flats, or, sometimes, or a couple days of each. The currents on the island are really crazy. We have these crazy shoals where it will go from like 4 feet of water to 40 feet, or 3 feet of water to 20 feet. Or even like up to 120 feet. I mean, it's crazy. And so the bait fish kind of just get pushed around. It's like a washer machine almost. And you can kind of set your boat up so your fly just drops right off that cliff, and the fish it's like a buffet line. The fish are there, their mouths open, ready to eat. especially during the squid migration.
Ooh, tell us about that.
Squid migration is crazy. So it happens in June, and it's like a National Geographic ad. There's bass breaking the water. You can use poppers. They'll eat right off the surface. The squid are jumping out of the water. There's birds diving down, eating the squid. There was one day this year my client said, oh my gosh, there's so much seaweed in the water. And it wasn't seaweed. It was actual like squid ink. There's that many. Yeah, there's so much squid. But the fish go nuts for them. So you're using these big squid flies, and it's awesome. You can watch a fish eat them. It's like all sight fishing. It's really cool.
Can people eat the squid?
Yeah, people eat them all the time.
It's not bad. You just got a whole bunch of calamari floating by.
Yeah, I did once this year, and then the next I made dinner with like calamari, and the next morning I saw like all these bluefish and bass eating them, and I'm like, oh my god, never again. Like getting too close to home here, eating that.
So what about stuff in the water? You got sandbars, rock piles that bait will get pushed up against and hide around?
Yeah, it depends on what side of the island you are. Chappaquiddick and that side, it's mostly sandbars. And then towards the north side of the island, it gets a lot more rocky. So you have to be pretty careful on the boat up there.
Do you see some bad boating incidents with people that aren't paying attention?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in July, the waters get, especially like towards the Cape, not necessarily the island, but gets so crowded. And yeah, there's definitely, the Coast Guard keeps pretty busy.
Are you familiar with currently that's going viral is this parking lot with the rock in it that people keep hitting?
No, what is it?
This is a parking lot. Everyone's going to Google it. That people cut a turn around this little spit of, I don't know what you would call it. Like there should be a tree in the middle, little like sidewalk piece. And people kept cutting it and getting stuck and tearing up the mud and dirt everywhere. So somebody in the middle of the night came and put a big boulder there to block the cars.
Oh my God.
There's about 12 different pictures of 12 different cars all stuck on this rock at a 45-degree angle.
That's hilarious.
So drivers are hitting rocks somewhere just as bad as they might be doing it on the Vineyard.
Yes. I mean, you do see it. I've seen people, sailboats in particular, get caught on the shoals, which is can be kind of scary. You know.
And do you have your boat in the water or do you trailer it?
I keep my boat in the water. I rent a dock space on Chappie. So I keep it right there.
What is your boat? What's the size, make, model?
A 23-foot Parker.
All right.
And I love it because it's super lightweight and it doesn't have a deep V, so I can get up on the flats really easily, which is awesome. It definitely slams a little bit more than like a deep V boat if you're going on rough days, but I love it. It's a great boat.
Can you take that to the mainland versus doing the shuttle?
Yes, I do in the fall and spring, but the public docks get so crowded, so I have to take the ferry.
So if you need supplies, can you get Amazon delivered there?
Oh my gosh, yes, new discovery.
Right on.
Amazon Prime now changed my life.
The reason I got Prime was because it would take me 40 minutes to an hour to go 3 miles and back to Target with traffic here. Right. I'm like, you know what? I'm just buying baby wipes on Amazon now. I'm not going all the way to Target.
I know. Like, things I can support small businesses with, of course I do. But some things, it's like you can't get on an island, and there you go.
Right.
You can get it right on Amazon Prime. Although you always put in your address, and it adds an extra, 5 days to the delivery. Because, the island and all.
Right, right. And most of the island is dry. Is that, from when I was there, is that still going on?
Yes. Vineyard Haven. So now it's just Chilmark and Menemsha. Vineyard Haven was dry until this year. So last year it passed, and this year you can get alcohol at restaurants, but they still don't really have bars, and you have to get food when you get alcohol.
What about liquor stores? We found one.
Yeah, Edgartown has a bunch. Oak Bluffs has some, and that's like kind of it. There's one by the airport. I guess it's Edgartown still. But yeah, that's it.
I wonder if that contributed to the lack of litter. Like, usually you go to a beach, there's beer cans and pop tops and other things. We went to some beaches that were absolutely pristine.
Yeah, they're really pristine there. I think a lot of people, it's just such a beautiful place. I hope that people realize that and respect that. And I like to think that's why they take it, but you don't know.
Right.
But maybe that is why.
All right. I want to talk about the flies now that you're throwing for these fish. So you already mentioned some big squid flies. What else are you throwing and what are you trying to match?
Squid is my favorite, and you can use that like all the way through July. And then you can kind of start using it again in September down deep. But sand eel patterns work really well. And then, of course, like clousers, like very small, sparse clousers on the flats work really, really well. In tan and white and chartreuse and white as well. But you're mostly mimicking sand eels, little peanut bunker. But yeah, I mean, it's funny.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's my phone, my computer. Sorry. Yeah, so it's mostly peanut bunker and clousers. You know, you really don't need to use that many flies. It's not like freshwater, you know, like you don't have to match the hatch. Like 95% of the time, clousers or a squid pattern will work, which makes my job pretty easy.
Yeah. Do you tie your own flies?
I do. I don't tie a ton just because I don't have a ton of time. But I have my dad, I call my number one employee. He ties all my flies. And then I have some really lovely friends that are clients actually too that will tie some flies for me. But yeah, whenever I can, I like to do it.
That's pretty cool how you and your dad get to interact through your employment. I met him with his insurance company at Edison.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. It's awesome. I hang out with him all the time now. After being out west for so long, it's pretty fun to come back home and fish with him. Yeah, it's good.
Do you still go on his shoulders?
That's how I guide.
Forget ladders. We can have dads to stand on.
That's how I'm so successful on the flats.
With the flies, are you doing barbed or barbless?
Barbless.
Nice. Any reason?
It's just, I mean, I'm all catch and release, and if I can't get the fly out of the mouth quickly, there's really no point of releasing that fish. So it's just a lot better for the fish. You can get it out of their mouth and put them back in the water a lot faster.
Let's say someone gets impaled. Is there good medical services on the Vineyard?
Yeah, there's a hospital.
I'm surprised I didn't go there. I usually end up injured on a trip.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this year I had 3 people hook themselves. One horrible thing, I was tying this guy's fly on, and my line, it was really windy, and the line got blown off the boat in the water, and I didn't realize. And I had my boat in gear because I was in current and it was windy, and the line wrapped around the prop, and the hook went through my hand. It was being pulled into my hand by the prop and I couldn't reach the throttle until the line finally broke. It was gross. And this happened like 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's not the way to start.
I spent like 8 more hours of pain.
Did you just pour some tussin on it and go?
I just, the little monofilament trick, you rip it right out.
That's how they got the one out of my arm in Colorado, but they used dental floss.
Oh, God.
But there was no mark, there was no blood, there was no anesthesia. He just popped it off, and they...
Yeah, it works. You just, point the head of the fly down, so it creates, more of an angle. I think that loosens it a bit, and then 1, 2, 3, pull as hard as you can.
The one that went through my index finger, that didn't work. We tried everything.
Oh, I wonder if it's wrapped around your bone or something. That happens.
I don't know, but the woman at the hospital would not let me film it. I was like, come on, man. They let me do this in Colorado. She's like, this isn't Colorado.
This is not Colorado.
And the amount of blood that came out, this was like a 1/0 bass stinger. It was a fountain. She goes, this is why you don't do it in the field.
That's awful. That's awful.
I was not expecting that much blood just to be coming out of my finger. I must have hit a blood vessel or something.
Something. It's painful. That finger of mine is still numb. But
how do you get the line off the prop if you're out in the water?
Ugh, it's a pain. You have to turn off the engine and raise the motor, and then kind of, this is where yoga comes in, like stand on the swim platform and try and get it off as fast as you can. Sometimes you can do it without the line breaking, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
But it breaks a lot. It can be hard in the current, because you have to keep your boat in gear in order to keep the boat going.
Do you provide gear for your clients?
I do, yeah. Yep. I mean, some clients will bring their own, but I provide Thomas & Thomas rods and everything they need. So they can just show up and we're ready to go.
Do you have a preferred line for throwing in the salt?
It depends on the time of year, but I use Cortland's 350 grain sinking tip, I should say, in the fall, and then their intermediate striper line or cold salt line the rest of the year.
Is there a type of gear up there that people just swear by that you would go somewhere else in the country and they'd be like, yeah, that's not our jam?
Stripping baskets. People have no idea what they are half the time. It's so funny, which is weird, I guess, because they're so useful for every fishery, I feel like.
I think I brought mine up there. I can't remember. I had to have.
You talk to people, they're like, what the heck is this? But then you use it, and you're like, you never want to go back.
It's such a simple little thing.
Such a simple little thing. Makes all the difference.
All right.
And makes your line last way longer.
Do you give a packing list for your clients? I'm assuming it's probably going to get windy and wet at some point on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, before each trip, I communicate quite a bit with each client. So I'll email them what to bring, and most people have a general idea, but clients are always making fun of me because I'm like, bring all your layers. It's crazy weather. Whenever I say that, it's like a bluebird, beautiful day. But the weather changes so quickly out there, so I always recommend bringing a bunch of different layers.
What about the sharks?
There's sharks for sure. There's more seals around than there used to be.
So I thought I was looking at someone's black lab. So years ago, I'm pretty sure I did a podcast at the spot with my friend, now Seth. And he was fishing down the beach, and he came up to me, and he's like, fishing sucks. I'm like, yeah, dude, grab a beer. So we sit down, and we're just sitting, staring off into nowhere, just hanging out, talking. And this thing goes by, and I'm like, oh, my God, dude, someone's dog is out there. He's like, that's not a dog, that's a seal.
Yeah, they look
like,
so
what?
similar.
I didn't realize how big those seals were until we went to Cape Cod. Those things are huge.
Well, now there's sea lions and harbor seals. So there's the sea lions get huge. They're
Do you ever
huge.
mess with your fish?
Not on the Vineyard, not yet. The Cape, I have some buddies out there that they're more of a problem where they'll eat the stripers right off their line. That hasn't happened to me. The seals are a little bit of a pain during Albee season. They come in closer, and we had the hardest time one day catching these albies. They were there. They just were being finicky as ever, and a seal came by with an albee tail out of his mouth, and we were just like, no.
Do the fish sense that the seals are there and are just super skittish and avoiding them?
Yeah, so a lot of the time, I mean, I think the stripers are more affected by it on the flats. You can still catch them, but you really have to make sure the fish is very well rested before you put it back, because the seals are there. They're smart. They're there waiting.
They figured it out.
Yep. So you got to make sure that fish is ready to fight.
And for the tunas, you just throw them right in as like a torpedo?
Yeah, I only hold them in the water for a second. Just, I really don't take them out. I'll take them out quickly for a quick photo. And then, yeah, just like a torpedo, head first, and they're off. I mean, they swim. They're so fast.
Do they ever barf up on your boat?
Oh, God, yes. I got a brand new jacket this year. I was so excited. Like, finally, a new jacket. And first morning, they puked squid all over it.
So you have the squid plus the ink?
Yes. And so the ink doesn't come out of clothes, apparently. So now I have a black and blue jacket.
Yeah, I got a nice Irish knit sweater for Hanukkah one year, and the next day I spilled ink on it in an art class. Yeah, so the next day in art class, I spilled it, took it home. My mom was thoroughly pissed. And instead of just throwing it out, we should have just taken it back and dumped a whole bottle of ink on it, and I could have just had a black sweater.
There you go, right?
Right.
That's what I should have done. I mean, it was all over. So gross. Ugh. But yeah.
Do you wear the slicks at all?
Pardon?
Do you wear the bibs and stuff in the nasty weather?
Really? Yeah. Actually, in the nasty weather, I just because maybe I'm cheap, my leaky waders, I cut and so I just wear my old waders, and they have no feet.
Interesting.
So. Same idea.
Yeah, that's kind of like what my bibs are, just old Orvis waders, pretty much, with different pockets and no feet on them.
Yeah, exactly. Just cut off the little booties. I wash them, and now they're slippers.
Yeah, how about that?
They're perfect for camping.
Yeah. Where do you go camping? Is that back when you're on the mainland?
But yeah, in the winter up to the White Mountains in New Hampshire, I love really anywhere, but that's where I go a bunch.
Are you a skier as well?
Yes, I can't wait for ski season.
Yeah, I went skiing once in Crested Butte, and
Oh, amazing.
no, I don't like the going fast thing. That's not an adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush for me is hooking something
There
big.
you go.
But I was not happy on that trip.
Right? Like slippery things on your feet going down a mountain.
Yeah, and I was wearing my fishing bibs because I didn't have overalls for skiing.
That's so funny.
I had a Cabela's Gore-Tex wading jacket and Orvis olive green bibs. And my wife's like, don't even stand near me.
She's a smart woman.
She wears like all white now when she's out there. She's like a black helmet and then all white.
I like that. That sounds stylish. I like
She's nuts. She's all double black diamond, does the top balls and brack. It's a good thing I don't know how to
Amazing.
ski because I would not be able to keep up with her.
Does your daughter go with her?
Hopefully this winter she'll learn. She says no to
Amazing.
everything.
Really?
A wet blanket.
That's hilarious.
We've got 2 days off of school this week or next week, so I'm going to try and take her trout fishing somewhere. She'll be like, I want a play date. I'll be like, forget that.
No, we're going fishing.
Yeah, as an only child, that's the first thing she opens her eye, looks at you, and goes, I want a play date. She'll come by at 6 a.m. Can you call Taylor's mom?
I'm sick of you too.
Like, oh,
Need some friends.
yeah. And our dog just passed away, so she can't play with him anymore.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What kind of dog?
Mini Schnauzer.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah, he would have been 15 in January.
Oh my goodness. A beautiful long life, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I brought his dog bed down last week when I did the interview with Jen Ripple and
Oh yeah, I heard
Heather.
that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you. So I tried to get him to podcast with me, and he left. And that was kind of like the last time we ever really hung out.
He's like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to go and start dying in about 6 hours.
Seen 15 years of this. I'm done.
So we were a wreck for a couple of days, and now she looked at me and said, I really am an only child now. 'Cause
Oh,
we always raised her that was her brother.
right.
She looked at me crying. It was just like, I'm an only child now. I was like, I can't handle this.
God, I would die.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
That's so sad. I'm so sorry.
But now when we drop any kind of food, it's like, man, my back's going to go out. I got to bend over and pick that up.
Right? A lot more cleaning now.
But it's quiet. When people come over, all he did was bark.
Yeah, they're known for barking, aren't they?
Dude, he was not a quiet dog.
It's good to alert you when people are around, I guess.
Yeah. All right, I got a couple more fishing questions before we move on to other things. I know you've only been on the Vineyard for a couple of years, and I'm assuming you hang out with, is there a fishing community there of guides and other anglers?
Yeah, there's a great community on island. I mean, I think it's such a so many people fish on island that it's a pretty common thing. But yeah, there's awesome. All the other guides are super nice and great guides, and yeah, it's good.
Is there talk about the ocean changing, warming up, different species are coming in over the years?
Yes, definitely. And it's pretty obvious to see. I mean, from growing up to now, it's completely different. I mean, the stripers have gone down and up, and you can definitely tell that there's a lot of stripers around, but there's not a ton of big ones around. It's pretty cookie cutter size fish. They're all pretty similar. And then just things like we got king mackerel this year. We got Spanish mackerel this year, which is a southern fish. That's not typical for our waters. It's definitely changing. And yeah, I mean, it's I think islands, because, you know, they're so out in the ocean, you do feel the effects of climate change pretty quickly.
What about the storms?
Yeah, we had some bad storms this fall. We had 2 nor'easters that were crazy, like crazy. I mean, it was like one was at least 60 knots for 4 straight days, which really meant, like, we'll always get a storm or two in the fall, but we had 2 big ones, and that really messes up the fishing. It's really good before, typically, and the albies do love the rough water, but it moves them around quite a bit, and they can't really get settled. So it makes it hard. You have to work really hard to find them.
Does it do much to erode the beaches when you get one of those big wind storms coming in?
Yeah, every year the beaches are different, especially on Chappie where it's all sand. There's some houses that I see and I'm like, ooh, nerve-wracking, because they get closer and closer to the edge every year.
Does it blow the mosquitoes out to sea? I remember getting eaten alive in the parking lot there.
Oh, yeah. Yep. There are definitely parts of the island where there's a huge mosquito population. But once you're on the ocean, you're all good.
My clients are always asking, do I need to bring bug spray? And I'm like, well, first of all, out in the open, there's nothing that mosquitoes would feed on.
Right.
So they wouldn't be out there anyway. Plus, the wind would just blow them away.
Right. Exactly.
Clients are always like scratching their head, like, really? But yeah, there are no squirrels and small mammals out in the middle of the lake that the mosquitoes are going to come and grab. So
right.
They're not going to even know you're there.
That's true. Yeah,
Any issues with you being a female guide amongst all the other people?
I mean, I think in any community, it was a little bit of a surprising factor for some, to say the least. Yeah, there was some. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people were confused by it, weirdly, and questioning if I had a captain's license and all that, which of course I do. And when I didn't, I would use someone on the boat that did have a captain's license. So I ran a legal business. But yeah, it was I definitely get some comments, less and less each year, which is refreshing and good.
Comments online or out and about?
On everything. My God, like, people online are brutal. But I've kind of just learned, like, I'm proud of my business. I'm proud of what I'm doing. And so I kind of just put my head down and work hard and be respectful to others and the resource and the ocean. And, you know, that's really all you can do.
What is the night sky like up there?
It's amazing. It's crazy because you're out there. You're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's super, super beautiful, especially on Chappie or on the north side of the island. Really anywhere on island. There's tons of stars. It's so beautiful.
We've had so much light pollution here that you can see some stars. And I wish I could get out more to places. I remember as a kid going out to Yellowstone in Montana.
Yeah. So beautiful.
It was
it's
insane.
like that. Yeah.
And the Keys.
Yeah, the Keys are pretty amazing. But it's like that. There's not that much light pollution. It's pretty spectacular.
What's the deal with the lobsters? Do you call them lobsters, or you don't have much of the accent to be like lobster?
Lobsters. Stripers and lobsters. Yeah, they're there. They're delicious. More in Maine than the Vineyard.
Tom Colicchio was saying they're all moving out of Maine and going up towards Newfoundland.
Yeah, it's crazy. The waters are warming, you know? And that, like, these seas, the ocean says it best. Like, every year it changes. There's striped bass up there now. I mean, that's crazy.
Is there something that you would catch that would totally blow your mind? Either you or a client pulled in, and you'd be just like, what?
I mean, for the first time in my life, we caught a king mackerel this year, and I was pretty surprised on that. Another thing we got and we had and we always get jellyfish, but we had tons of jellyfish, which is kind of cool because the sea turtles came in.
They chomp on those things.
Yeah, and we saw so many sea turtles. The best evening of fishing, we were out and we saw this giant sea turtle, like huge sea turtle. I thought it was a sea lion, and there was albies just under it the entire time.
Was there a little fish hanging out underneath it?
Yeah.
That was the flotsam for them.
Yeah, it was so cool. We drifted with this turtle for 4 miles, just catching albee after albee. It was so cool.
Would you ever put on a mask and snorkel and dangle over, or hold like Oliver's feet while he's in the water looking around?
Maybe with Oliver. Yeah, I mean, we have some pretty strong currents, so I don't do it, but I know people that do.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
In the emails recently, you mentioned you're in New York City. What was that for? Was it for Pizza by the Slice?
Oh, definitely a little bit of that. I was in a film with John McMurray about, it's called Tomorrow's Fish, that AFTA put on, and it's basically a conservation saltwater conservation film, just talking about stripers, and it was awesome. John's a badass. He was super fun to fish with and film with, and so we did they showed the film at an Orvis shop, and then we had like a discussion afterwards. It was cool.
When did they approach you to make a movie?
Last year, they asked me, because I'm striving to be, well, I mean, I try to teach all my clients the importance of conservation and protecting our resource and stripers. So they asked me, and then went down to New York to film with John last November, which was so fun because I actually got to fish for the first time in so long. It was awesome.
Did you find that the fish don't like when a camera's rolling?
Oh, yeah. They hate it.
Yeah, we couldn't get a single bite. We filmed our F3T movie.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it goes. I was working with fly lords on something, and we did catch fish, but had to work really, really hard for them. And then the morning they left, I guided that afternoon and caught, I mean, it was like unbelievable fishing.
That's the way it goes. Is this movie going to be public, online? Is it going to be at a film tour?
I think they're kind of figuring that out right now. It just came out last week. So I know they're using it to try to just get the word out for conservation. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if they are even sure of what it's going to be in. But it won some awards out west and was nominated for the Drake Best Conservation Film and Best Saltwater Film, which is cool.
I once accepted the Drake's Best Saltwater Movie Award.
Really?
They just said, who in the crowd wants to accept it? They're not here to pick it up. And I wasn't even facing, I had a lot to drink. I was not facing the stage, and I just put my hand up, and they're like, Snowhite, come and get it. And I looked around, I was like, okay. And all weekend, this is an iCast. People were like, I love that part when you're in the Seychelles. I'm like, I thought y'all knew I was not in this movie. I went up there as a bit. But speaking of iCast, how was the plaid and khaki show in Denver this year?
Definitely a plaid and khaki show. I've actually never been because it's always been in July, which is, one of my busiest months. And I wasn't going to go this year, but it was one of the storms that hit. And I'm really glad I went. It's awesome. Like, the fly fishing industry is such a cool industry, and it's nice to be reminded of that occasionally. There's a lot of awesome people, and it's fun to catch up with everyone, and it was cool. It was fun. It was definitely a party, but it was fun.
Any products you're looking forward to being on the market?
All the fish pond stuff looks awesome. It is awesome, which was fun to hang out with them for a while. And they're just such a cool company, you know, so environmentally aware and stand by how I want to run my business. And yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You want to talk about yoga or travel next?
Either one.
So how'd you get into the yoga?
So the yoga, well, so I started doing yoga a while ago. I had like scoliosis in my back, and it was like so painful guiding. I would get home and like be in such pain. And I was like 22. It was like ridiculous. So I started doing yoga, and it was totally cured, like 100% fine. And then I realized it goes so well and complements fly fishing, especially through a travel aspect. I had a lot of clients that, you know, were unsure if they wanted to go on a full-fledged fly fishing travel, you know, which I get. I mean, it seems kind of intimidating. But the minute you add yoga into it, it opens the doors for a lot more people that then really started to love fly fishing, and vice versa. Fly fishermen really started to love yoga, which is cool.
I know Mike Schmidt's big into yoga. He's down in Florida. That's a big dude to be doing yoga.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, guiding, you're on a boat all day long standing, or walking on the rocks or the beaches. It's like, it's hard. But if you can build those little muscles in your core and stuff, it really does help. Also, for me, I get like so excited guiding sometimes. It's nice to be able to know to take a breath. And it's okay. We're just fishing.
I tried doing Pilates, and I really liked that, and I thought we would venture into yoga.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. It didn't work. And then when we had our kid, I quit the gym.
Well, you know, you can get back into it at some point. It's a lifelong thing.
Yeah, I got a indoor bike stand, so I ride my bike now.
Cool.
I just fixed our giant TV, and yeah, I could sit there and watch something or listen to Bluetooth headphones and just burn some calories, and don't have to go anywhere.
Right? And you can be with your daughter. That's perfect.
Yeah, she wants to go on it. I'm like, I'm twice your height. You can't fit on this.
Not gonna work. That's a nice thing about yoga too. Like, you can do it everywhere, anywhere and everywhere.
Teach it to the kids here at school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my daughter would come home doing different poses from school.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
They did not do that when I was in school. That's amazing.
I think now you have to be CPR certified to graduate.
Yeah, to graduate
high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
These are things I'll find out when my kid gets older.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. But that's awesome.
Yeah. How'd you get into travel hosting?
I love traveling, and one aspect of fly fishing that I think is awesome is it can bring you to such beautiful places and people in the world. And not that a lot of people don't discover if you're not fishing. And so I started doing hosted travel, and I would go down, and the lodge typically would host me first. So I'd learn the guides and learn, you know, kind of what to expect, and then would start bringing clients down. And it's good because I found it really helpful to have always gone to the place first, because some places definitely have better guides than others, and some guides match better with certain clients, and vice versa. So it's nice to have an idea of what you're getting into.
Do you ever? That's one thing I thought about getting into hosted trips, and it hasn't really panned out. We may do one this winter, but I always wonder: are you going to get someone that's just, 2 beers and they're just a sloppy drunk, or if someone's going to wander off in the night and end up with a tattoo on their forehead?
Right. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Like, a lot of people think I'm just going on vacation, which it's months and months and months of planning. And everyone who travels is different and has different needs. And has different concerns and trying to, I mean, it's a compliment, right? Like they've trusted you enough to travel with you. So you kind of have to live up to that, which is hard. I lose a lot of sleep over it.
How much sleep do you need?
And then pardon?
How much sleep do you need working up there? My kid gets me up early, and I went to bed because our dog passed away. I would stay up every night till 10:30 to let him out so he wouldn't wake us up at 4 or 5 to go out.
Oh, my God.
I turned the lights off at 9:15 last night.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Easily. I love the fall when it starts. Because in the summer, I'm guiding until dark, you know? And then you're up at 4 or 5 or whatever. So you really don't sleep. I'm like a bear. Don't really sleep that much in the summer. And then as it starts getting dark earlier, the better for me.
I'm excited for daylight savings this week.
I know. I'm like the only person.
Well, our striper fishing is really good at dusk here. So we can go out earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. And then still have a night.
Yeah.
Still time for happy hour.
Yeah, we've got no clients on Sunday because we're going down to Fredericksburg, Virginia. So we're going. I'm going to a going away party. It's no kids, so we drew straws. My wife is staying home, so I can go out this weekend.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is the time of year for it.
So what? Back to the traveling. Do you have favorite destinations? Sounds like Mexico is kind of your jam.
I love Mexico. I mean, Patagonia and Ireland, they're so beautiful and the fishing is unbelievable. But personally, I just love saltwater and just like the openness and endless flats. Also, where I go in Mexico, in Punta Allen, it's all protected land, which is really cool. I mean, it's like over 1 million acres of protected lands. You're seeing turtles and birds and dolphins and not stripers. That would be a little scary. Permit and snook, tarpon and bonefish. I mean, it's so cool. It's so cool. And after having gone down there a few times, the community of Punta Allen is really a special place. Like many places where there's fly fishing.
What's the food like down there besides probably just extremely fresh?
Yeah, it's a lot of fresh seafood. A lot of, fresh seafood. It's good. I'm allergic to gluten, so it's like great for me because it's all corn.
Right. It was the Spanish that introduced flour.
Yeah.
Yep. Any traveling hacks you've got for packing or what to bring, what not to bring?
The fish pond rod holder that holds 4 rods, it's round. It's like the best thing I've ever got because you can fit 4 rods in it. It's not that big, and you can carry it on, which is so nice because I'm always so scared to check my rods. Just like if anything, you can lose, like if you don't have clothes for a few days, you can get a shirt. But if you don't have your rods, I mean, the whole point is to go fishing.
Right. That was last week's topic of what would you bring in your carry-on that you have to sacrifice to put something in the checked luggage. And I said, I'll put my prescriptions in the checked luggage.
Yeah.
If I got to carry my fly box with me, I'd rather have heartburn than no flies.
Right, exactly. So I always try to bring at least to get through a couple days of fishing and carry on, and then the rest can be checked.
Do you have any hacks for packing, like rolling up things and sticking it in your shoe?
Oh,
space bags.
I use a lot of the space bags. A lot of my clients use those. I usually, if I am checking rods, like put them on the bottom for a base, and then fill my hats with things and fill my shoes with things, and I mean, I always just pack in waterproof gear too. All the fish pond stuff is, or most of it, because then you can just use that on the boat as well. You can kind of carry over instead of having to bring another dry bag or another whatever. You already have it.
Is there something you used to pack all the time and now you're like, I don't need that? That you've organized things so well now that you found there's things that are just not needed?
Well, obviously wear clothes down there, but you really don't need as many clothes as you think, because especially when you're like you're fishing all day, so you can just wear the same shirt a couple days and you're fine. I also bring way too many coats because I'm always packing. It's like freezing here. And then, it's Mexico. Like, it's not cold. So just bring one little jacket and you'll be fine. I always bring like half the bag of down coats.
I can never have enough down. Patagonia down vest is my go-to. That's for indoors. That's not my traveling. That's what I wear in the house.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm wearing one right now.
I absolutely love that. Don't get near a fire with it.
Oh, good to know.
I sat down next to my cousin's gas fireplace and started smelling something weird. And I turned my head, and when I turned, all these white feathers came up. And I figured out that I was sort of on fire.
Just sort of on fire.
So now they don't even let people or their kids get near that gas fireplace. It was that hot.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a new house for them.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah. Any other questions I forgot to ask you about life on the vineyard before I go into some other questions?
Can't think of any. I think you covered it pretty well.
All right. Well, I may ask a good one in here. If you had a superhero's power to make you a better angler, what would you choose?
Ooh. Maybe that I could see through the water to see exactly what's going on. Because you're just scraping the surface, right? By looking at the birds and looking at, you're just seeing what's on the surface. But if you could see what's below you, you could see the bait, but also it'd be so cool. I bet there's sharks and whales and all sorts of stuff.
Dig it.
Right?
What item, if you left at home on a guided trip, fun trip, or hosted trip, would completely screw you over?
Flies, of course, I'd say, which I've done. So now I have them in every single nook and cranny of my life, so I can't ever forget them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are in our house. When I was holding the dog as he was starting to go, my wife put something down and a gamakatsu hook fell out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I got to pick that up before she sees it because I will be in trouble.
Yep. Literally every single thing I own has flies in it. Because it's the worst.
What's a fly tie material you could not live without?
Well, for stripers, I love big eyes. So those big dumbbell eyes really work pretty well. So that I would say that.
Are you left or right hand retrieve?
Right. But I can do both. I have both on the boat because clients they switch every day with that.
If you weren't a professional fishing guide, what do you think you'd be doing? Professional yoga?
That's tricky. I feel like I put all my eggs in one basket with this job. I started guiding in college, so every year I'm like, made it another year. Hopefully we'll keep going. Yeah, I would love either travel or yoga. Other one, yeah.
If you were stuck in your own personal Groundhog Day, where would you want to be that had the best fishing?
Where would I want to be?
Yeah, instead of Punxsutawney, where if you could wake up any, day after day in the same spot, where would you want to have your own Groundhog Day?
Well, the Vineyard in the summer or fall is like the best fishing ever. And it's so beautiful and the weather's great. So I'd love to be there or on some endless flat somewhere, warm and sunny.
Do you have a favorite author, fishing or non-fishing, that you would recommend?
Favorite author? I have a few. There's a woman on island, Janet Messina, who just wrote a really amazing book. Of course, you're probably going to have to cut this out because I can't remember the name of it. I need to get back to you. But it's about striper fishing on the island and the struggles of her being a female, 40 years ago, getting into it. It's
interesting.
Yeah, Janet Messina is her name. She's amazing.
If you had a DeLorean with enough nuclear power and could go back in time to fish a pristine environment before it was destroyed by humans, where would you go?
Definitely. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I would go to the Vineyard because there's you'll read articles and stuff where they say you could walk across the backs from Edgartown to Chappaquiddick on the backs of stripers, which That's pretty crazy. That's not like that today. I mean, there's a lot of stripers around, but the populations aren't healthy.
The shad and the Potomac will stack up in some eddies where it looks like that. You see nothing but backs. And they say that, you know, back in the day when Captain John Smith came up here, they would just dip frying pans in and scoop the fish out.
Yeah, that's what it says. You could walk on the backs with them.
I think he is the one that named Martha's Vineyard before he stole Pocahontas.
Oh, quite the life.
Yeah. He escaped being imprisoned in Turkey and then got on a boat over here to go explore. Yeah, he had quite the life.
What's
the worst place you've ever fished?
The worst place I've ever fished? Huh. The worst place I've ever fished? I don't know. I mean, I still had a really, really fun time, and it actually wasn't that bad. But I went carp fishing, and it was like army crawling for 12 hours, and we didn't catch anything because they were so damn spooky. And then we were sitting, like, in this drainage ditch, literally. And I was just casting and drinking a beer and hanging out. And we caught carp, but we all fell in. It was like gross water, but it was still really fun.
Where was that?
That was out in Washington.
Okay.
It was like, but it was like gross water. Like there was like cow fields right next to us. Like I feel like we should have gotten shots afterwards. After swimming in that.
What is your home fly shop?
Coops, bait and tackles on island.
When is it okay for someone to pose for a photo with a rod over their shoulder?
When you just started fly fishing.
There we go. All right.
That's hilarious.
When you get a hot dog, do you put ketchup or mustard on it?
100% mustard. I do not like ketchup. Ugh.
So then I don't have to ask what's the one thing you won't eat. Ketchup.
Ketchup. It actually, I think, is the one thing I won't eat.
Wow. What's your drink?
I really like IPAs or bourbon.
What's your bourbon?
I like Bullet, or I like Whistling Pig.
The people that started Whistle Pig started their own one. It's like Hudson something. It's awesome. My dad is a Scotch aficionado. He considers bourbon to be blasphemy. And he had a sip of this stuff, and he looked at me and sneezed and put the glass. He drank a sip, immediately sneezed, put the glass down, stared at me, and walked off.
That's
because I had offended his taste buds. And my wife and daughter and I it was my cousin's speakeasy we were at one day, and I was just going through trying every high-end bourbon and whiskey. My dad was just shaking his head.
That's hilarious. I love bourbon. It's delicious.
Yes.
Whistle Pig is good.
What's your favorite concert you've been to?
Favorite concert? This summer I went to John Muir on the Vineyard. That was really fun. Grateful Dead, for sure. And then Krasny Stills Nash was another favorite one.
That's been mentioned now 2 episodes in a row.
Really?
Yeah. What's your most played album?
Probably Krasny Stills, Nash, and Young.
Or
The Dead. Or Taj Mahal, I really like as well.
I saw Taj once open up for Parliament in a street festival in San Francisco in college.
Amazing.
It was pretty nuts.
He's so good. And I've never seen him, though, because he comes by the Vineyard for like every year. But it's always like in the heart of guide season when I can't do anything else.
Well, I want to come up for the Jacko Pierce concerts, but they're like $500 now. It involves a clam bake and all this other stuff.
On the Vineyard this summer, they had their first ever music festival, which was really cool. John Muir was there, which he does like so amazing. Dispatch was there. Grace Potter was there. It was so fun.
Grace Potter puts on a show. That woman can rock.
Right? It was so fun. I showed up for the last like 10 minutes, basically still in my waders, but it was amazing.
Does it screw things up when the Obamas come?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, you can't even use your cell phone, really. Like, the cell phone power is totally different, the service.
Weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they just bought a house on island as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you going to be getting trick-or-treaters on your island?
I wish. I've never lived in a place where I feel like I always live in these places where there's no trick-or-treaters because you have to, like, travel down a million miles of a dirt road or in an apartment or wherever I've been. So, no, but I wish.
What about Halloween parties? Were you able to dress up for anything this past weekend?
Yeah, I went as a Viking.
All right. That's actually appropriate because they used to be there.
Exactly. And I hate being cold, so I could still be really warm.
Which Harry Potter house do you belong to?
Gryffindor, probably.
All right. East Coast or West Coast rap?
That's tough. Maybe West Coast.
All right. If you could go back in time to watch an athlete perform in their prime, is there someone you'd go see?
Oh, God. Maybe Babe Ruth.
Do you have a scar that tells a story?
Yes, actually. Well, I have a few. Many fishing related. But the one on my head that I got last summer was my brother surfed into my head. And I kept saying, don't do that, don't do that. And then he still did it. And I got this huge scar in my head. But he's a lot younger than me, and he's like the best, most awesome human. But I felt like it taught him, speaking as a much older sister, your actions affect others. So here I have a scar to prove it.
Crikey.
So there you go.
If you had a band to follow you around and play your theme song, what song would they play?
Oh my gosh. What song would they play? Well, Althea's my favorite song, but that's not what they'd play. That's a hard one. I feel like one where it's just a lot of energy the whole time, builds up, like Stairway to Heaven.
And what is your favorite part about the Thanksgiving dinner?
Dessert, pecan pie, 100%.
Right on. That's really easy to make. Not to make good, but it's a super easy thing to make.
It's so easy to make, and it's so, so good. The best.
And you didn't call them pecans. That's what my great aunt would call them. She
I
grew up
know.
in Jamaica, British Jamaica, so it was pecans and tomatoes.
But even like on the Vineyard, 50-50 at the table, pecan.
My wife and argue about the word almond. She calls it an almond.
Almond.
And
I
then
think it's almond?
I call it caramel. She calls it caramel.
Oh, yeah, I'm caramel for sure.
Yeah.
Or syrup and syrup.
Syrup.
Syrup for sure.
I'm like, but I'm the American. You are not from here. I get the words right. She's like, no. Flotsam. She was born in Soviet Russia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that kind of finishes up all my questions. I'm glad we finally got a chance to get this done.
I'm so sorry, and I appreciate that we did this. So thank you.
Yeah. Where can listeners find you on all your social medias?
They can find me on Instagram at Abbie on the Fly, ABBIE, and my website, kismetoutfitters.com. And then Kismet Outfitters also has a Facebook page as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What's the rest of your day going to look like?
I'm going to go teach a yoga class, actually, in about an hour.
Nice.
Which is nice. And continue to unpack my life. Maybe take my pup on a run or down to the beach at least.
But it's cold.
It's freezing. But he's curled up right now on my couch, which he's not supposed to be on the couch, but he's staring right at me, so he knows he's being bad.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a little rescue. I found him on the Blackfoot Reservation, actually, when I lived out in Montana.
Wow.
He's 7 pounds, and now he's 45.
Oh, my goodness. That's a big dog.
I know. He's the best. He's the best fishing dog. He'll spot fish sometimes before I do. Like, I'll be looking one way, and he'll be on the boat looking the other way, and he'll start barking or run over and smack me with his paw. It's amazing.
You need some kind of skipper's hat for him.
I know. Really. He should be the captain.
The deckhand or something.
He's my first mate, for sure.
Right on. All right, Abbie, I'm going to go return a broken air fryer to Bed Bath & Beyond.
Have fun.
And then I'll start editing. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. And if you need anything else, I'm around. this week. So whatever you want to redo parts or whatever, let me know.
Sounds good. All right, take care.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. For more information or to contact Rob, please go to www.robsnowhite.com.
Children is on everywhere. And she said, take me to bed right away. Okay, baby. Good night, y'all. Thank you for a great 9 years.
This podcast is brought to you by Freestone Productions at freestoneproductions.com.